Hello, yung Pablo Spot, I'm George. Today's episode is a little bit different, and I thought I would spend a little bit of time reflecting on my journey with YouTube and revisit some of the motivations for embarking on this very challenging and very time consuming world of content creation. And I also like to point out some of the very useful comments and feedback that I got on my channel and work on things to improve not only my experience as the host of the channel, but more importantly, you, the subscribers and the watchers of the channel. So I started this channel as a way for me to share what I know in the space that I'm very keen to explore, which is Devops and Cloud Technology. And the general intention was to set up a brain dump of things that I myself can go back to when I need to brush on things or even implement something. Or even allow me to quickly remember how to set up some automated processes or infrastructure in the cloud that I have already done in the past. So essentially, I'm also an audience of my own materials. But the underlying motivation for all of this was to contribute to making the knowledge in the DevOps space a lot more accessible to everyone. Which reminds me, so I post my YouTube videos on Facebook just to expand the audience reach. And I have a lot of friends that are not in the infotech industry that tells me that they have zero clues whatsoever on all the videos that I post on my Facebook page. This is of course understandable. My content is probably not generic enough like those genres that everyone can easily relate to, like travel, cooking, fashion, cool gadgets, or maybe even carpentry. But I don't want to switch just for the sake of reachability. And if I do that, then I have to revisit my original objective. My content, at least so far, covers things that are sitting in my head or things that I've learned from somewhere else. And sharing these are the closest that I could to sharing myself. I started this channel in January 2021, which is last year. And I remember having my close friends and relatives jump into it and become my first set of subscribers. I have like 3 or 4 ex-colleagues, even my ex-boss, jump into my bandwagon. My sister is a subscriber, and I believe my eldest niece is also a subscriber. And I have a good friend who I paddled with back in Singapore who also subscribed to my channel. And so for a month, I think I had like 10 subscribers. So that's 10 heads better than none. And then I started to get an average of 10 subscribers every month. And at the end of 2021, I have a little less than 500 subscribers. And I told myself, well, there's interest out there. And as the number of subscribers grew, I started to get comments and feedbacks, mostly encouraging and appreciative of what I do in the channel. But as an owner of the channel, I have to make sure that I listen to everything. Except, of course, those comments with explicit spam messages and links. And the good thing is, YouTube automatically filters this out. I also get occasional curses as comments, but they are not to be ignored. They may be cursing at you or your content because it is their way of relaying their message of frustration, but they are saying something. And if you filter out the curses, there is something that needs to be addressed from what they are pointing out. I have a few watchers who cursed with their comments, complaining about the speed of the videos, and they can't keep up. And this is something that I have been working on in my recent videos, which are those that are maybe about 2 months old. And so I listen. And besides, they are all valid feedback. So you just have to push the expletives to the side. There are also comments that contain suggestions on topics to cover. And honestly, I think this is the most challenging part out of everything. I always try my best to at least cover those that are very easy to do, or at least very easy to integrate to the content that I plan to release and create. And so this is always a work in progress as far as I'm concerned. And what about the cost of doing all of this, you may ask? Firstly, I usually do all my content creation and recordings on the weekends, and if I'm lucky, I could get at least 2 videos scheduled for release the following week. But editing is what's consuming most of the time. So that's the labor cost part. And of course, because bulk of my content involves standing up infrastructure, I am also billed by the cloud provider, mostly AWS, for my use of their services. And last year, I think I've accumulated close to $100 of cost for all the infrastructure resources that I spun up. And it's usually a mix of 1, expensive services that I use, or 2, infrastructure that I forget to tear down and they were just sitting there not being used. And speaking of costs, I have set up a Ko-fi page for anyone who wishes to pledge. You can access this page in ko-fi.com/PablosSpot. And I'm going to put the link in the description below. To clarify, this is not an obligation. My YouTube channel is and will always stay free, but I also welcome any assistance in kind to cover the costs involved in creating my content. I feel like a beggar asking for change. Anyways, that is all I wanted to cover on this episode, and with all sincerity, thank you to everyone who has been sending me appreciative, constructive, and encouraging comments, and also for the support for subscribing, liking, and watching my YouTube content. And on that note, until next time, and as always, keep learning and stay safe. See ya.